representative from Sagip Party List, Honorable Deputy Speaker Rodante de Marcoleta is recognized to interpolate the distinguished sponsor.
Maraming salamat po, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to make reference to an incident that happened in the city of Osamis. It came to my knowledge, Mr. Speaker, through the intercessions of some constituents, and I found out, Mr. Speaker, that a certain project in that area was implemented with several marks of irregularity, if not legal processes. Mr. Speaker, for starters, I'd like to ask the sponsor if he is familiar with DILG Memorandum Circular number 2020-068. It is entitled Postponement of All Administrative Demolitions during ECQ and State of National Emergency.
MC 2020-068 po.
MC number 2020-068.
You're correct, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, Your Honor, this memorandum circular was issued by the DILG in connection with the declaration of national state of calamity by the President. And if I quote from the memorandum itself, it says, this memorandum circular is issued to direct all LGUs to postpone all demolition and eviction activities and ensure that all homeless citizens within the respective jurisdictions are properly accommodated. I believe, Mr. Speaker, that this particular memorandum was in response to the national declared emergency and to shelter our people with the onslaught of pandemic, COVID-19. Unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, Your Honor, the proponent of the project in that area deliberately disregarded the circular. In fact, Mr. Speaker, I have all documents to show. I have photographs. I have video footages that demolitions of presidential units in that area were conducted between April to August 2020. Mr. Speaker, the most painful experience that I experienced, or this representation experienced, in connection with this incident, is when I asked assistance from the DILG. I cannot reach the secretary at the time because I was informed that he was under quarantine at the time, and I was able to have some text messaging with the OIC by the name of Yusek Florese. I explained to him the necessity of postponing or even preventing demolitions of residents because this is not what the circular is all about. Not only that, Mr. Speaker, Your Honor, I found out through the intercession of Yusek Echeverry that demolitions in that area were not covered by court order of demolitions. It was Yusek Echeverry himself who coordinated with the regional director of the DILG, and he found out that there are no court orders to demolish. What the proponent had is a writ of possession allegedly issued by the court. That will be okay, Mr. Speaker, Your Honor, but a writ of demolition, a writ of possession without the writ of demolition issued by the court and undertake those demolitions will be illegal. And so the question, Mr. Speaker, why did not the regional director or even the undersecretary explain to the proponent of that project in that area that there is an existing memorandum circular advising all LGUs to postpone evictions and demolitions. As a matter of fact, they were all advised to take care of residents because of the pandemic. The order, Mr. Speaker, Your Honor, was to stay home. But precisely, Mr. Speaker, the homes are being demolished during the pandemic. Why is it that the DILG was unable to at least restrain the proponent of the project to at least stop the demolition? There is a circular, and they found out that there are no order of demolitions issued by the court. How come the demolition continued unabated?
Mr. Speaker, our good Congressman, the demolition started as per of the DILG recollection. And the demolition started December 7, 2019, and it was self-demolition. However, as Yusek Florese acknowledged the communication between you and the Yusek, April and August was still self-demolition. There were demolition, but it was not forced demolition, but self-demolition.
Mr. Speaker, Your Honor, the report was wrong. There was no demolition that happened December 7, 2019. What is the reason that that demolition could not have been taken during that period? First of all, the writ of possession was obtained by the proponent of that project January 31, 2020. And so if the basis of the demolition is the writ of possession, December 7 is too early in the day. Secondly, I have photographs. As I said, I have footages to prove that demolitions were undertaken between April to August 2020. As a matter of fact, the regional director of DILG met with the lawyers of the residents, and he was given all the pictures and even a copy of a USB for him to appreciate the existence of the demolitions that took place between April to August 2020. Mr. Speaker, Your Honor, the question remains unanswered. How come despite the plea of this representation, despite the fact that the DILG itself found out that there were no court orders or writ of demolitions, but just the same, the demolitions took place during the pandemic, Mr. Speaker, where the people are supposed to stay at home. But here is the proponent of the project, too busy dismantling and demolishing houses of small landowners. Mr. Speaker, if you have read the report of the DILG, I do not know what is the basis of this report. He was there, he talked to the complaining residents, and the lawyers were there. He was given pictures. How come he ended up submitting a report that gave rise to a complaint disposition? The complaint disposition took the report of the regional director, hook, line, and sinker. It is all wrong, Mr. Speaker, Your Honor. I can prove to you that this is all wrong. But again, I even talk, not necessarily talk, I texted the chief PNP, Archie Gamboa. Now, my text messages are in my cell phone. I did not receive any reply because those residents feared for their lives. There were mobsters encircling the residents. Nobody, Mr. Speaker, Your Honor, the entire DILG was not responding. The police PNP did not even reply to my text messages. Why so? Mr. Speaker, if you are unable to provide the answers to these questions, we can probably defer consideration of your budget until I am able to convince you that these questions must be answered because there are aggrieved people.
Your Speaker, our fellow congressman, as per records shows that even in August, 10th of August, there were an investigation conducted by the local regional DILG, and on July, and then August was the release of our reports for the said findings. There were actual actions taken by the DILG as far as August and July.
I did not understand the answer, Mr. Speaker, Your Honor.
Well, the action taken of the DILG was to conduct a preliminary investigation as per of Yusek Florese, instructed the regional for a investigation on your request.
Mr. Speaker, Your Honor,
the findings of the regional...
what I am asking is, how come the DILG, notwithstanding the existence of a memorandum circular, stopping, postponing all evictions and demolitions during the pandemic, how come he failed to even advise the LGU to discontinue the demolitions?
Mr. Speaker, my good colleague, the answer, can I ask for a 1-minute suspension to
Session
gather
suspended.
the answer?
We would like to thank our Deputy Speaker, Rodante Marcoleta, and Secretary Anyo, and our sponsor, Congressman Alosos, for doing what is right for the good of the plenary. Majority Leader, next interpellator, please.
Mr. Speaker, may we once again recognize the Honorable Sarah Jane Elag.